Today, the implosion of the Sussexes. Meghan Markle's Archewell charity scam and as ever lies have finally been exposed. An astonishing double blow.
I'm firstly grateful to them because they pushed the book up to #1 on Amazon. And secondly, I'm not surprised. I mean, for them, any criticism is always poisonous and damaging, and particularly from me. But I can assure you it's very well sourced. And it's true. I mean, that's the point. It is actually, unfortunately, true at the time.
We didn't plan for everything selling out in under an hour. And so watching those metrics happen in real time, it's already sold out. Because I'm business-minded, I'm immediately going, okay, well...
How good? A simple website glitch, that's what blew this whole thing wide open. Someone over at Netflix forgot to lock down a product page, and for 47 chaotic minutes in February 2026, everything was just sitting there, fully exposed.
Bad things are going for Harry and Meghan. Archewell is essentially done. Any aspect of their charity has essentially collapsed completely, and it's been revealed for what it really always was.
We're talking 220,000 jars of jam, 90,000 candles, 80,000 tins of flower sprinkles, 70,000 bottles of rosé, just sitting. Nearly $10 million worth of unsold products stacked across offices in Los Angeles, with employees literally told to take it home like leftovers. That $10 million number, that's not just some random figure, that's where the real story begins. Not because it's awkward, but because it marks the breaking point of something much bigger. A slow financial unraveling stretching back 6 years, across 3 major deals, 2 charities, and 1 very specific warning someone inside the palace gave before the wedding even happened. If you've been enjoying the content, make sure you're subscribed. I'm planning on doing a giveaway soon, and it's only for subscribers.
I love that quote. That quote from a Netflix insider. Their offices were covered in as ever products. And this Netflix insider goes, there was just so much jam, everywhere jam, that they couldn't sell. It's pathetic, it really is.
Tom Bower's new book, Betrayal, doesn't just talk about the chaos, it puts a price tag on every single misstep. And the numbers, way worse than people expected. Here's where it gets serious. This isn't like the usual royal drama books. Bower names names, cites documents, and even walked into the Invictus Games himself to count empty seats. And when the Sussex team called it a deranged conspiracy, they accidentally pushed it straight to #1 on Amazon before it even shipped. And just so we're clear, everything here is backed by tax filings, corporate records, and verified reports from major outlets like Variety, Newsweek, and The Hollywood Reporter.
She's claiming she sold $36 million worth of jam alone. If she had done, Kinsey, let me tell you, Netflix would still be with her. They would still be backing her to the hilt. She was making that kind of money.
The analysis? That's mine. But the facts? Those are sitting right there in public records. And when you actually look at them, they tell a very different story. A story the Sussex PR machine has been trying to keep quiet for years. But here's the uncomfortable part. This financial collapse wasn't random at all. It followed a pattern. A pattern that someone inside Buckingham Palace reportedly warned about before Meghan even walked down the aisle. Now let's get into the numbers, because this is where it starts getting messy.
Sussexes only will talk to people who repeat their own narrative.
Yes.
And who they can control. So the idea that you could get the truth from the Sussexes is contradictory.
Pull up the Archewell Foundation's 2024 tax return, the Form 99, filed with the IRS on November 15th, 2024. One glance and something immediately stands out. Total revenue, $2,142,653. Total expenses, $5,105,228. That's nearly a $3 million deficit in just 1 year. That's not a small slip. That's a serious problem. But wait, it gets worse, way worse. Out of that $2.1 million in donations, around $2 million came from just one unnamed donor. One person carrying almost the entire operation. That means everything else. The events, the branding, the outreach, all of it combined brought in only about $142,000 from everyone else. That's not a strong donor base. That's one thread holding the whole thing together. And then comes the part that raises real questions.
Obviously, they were expecting a lot more money to come in, and it hasn't. In fact, I think a whole bunch of money is flowing out, and very little is flowing back into Harry and Meghan.
Charity Watch stepped in and requested financial audits 3 separate times between January 2024 and January 2026. 3 times, no response, no clarification, no transparency. Because of that, Archewell didn't even get a proper rating, just a question mark. Not a fail, but a refusal to grade because they couldn't verify where the money actually went. Even California's top legal office started paying attention. California Attorney General flagged issues when the foundation's registration expired in May 2025.
I don't think anybody at Netflix could have seen the show before it went out, because it's not entertainment, it's not edifying in any way. It's really, really bizarre.
But it didn't start there. Back in May 2024, a formal delinquency notice was issued, temporarily blocking Archewell from raising money in California. Let that sink in. Their own home state told their charity to stop asking for donations. Now flip to the expense side, and this is where things get even more questionable. Nearly 47% of program spending is grouped under one vague label, Other, described only as outside program consultants.
They were completely and utterly willing to throw aside the people they were supposed to help, and now we have this situation where it's just artifice, it's just there for show.
5 different contractors, each pulling in 6-figure payments for something called programmatic strategic support. That sounds official, but it basically means no clear explanation of what the money actually paid for. And while all that's happening, Executive Director James Holt sees his salary jump from under $60,000 in 2021 to $245,000 in 2024. That's a 280% increase inside a charity running a $3 million deficit. That's not just questionable timing, it raises real eyebrows. But here's the thing, if you've been enjoying the content, make sure you're subscribed. I'm planning on doing a giveaway soon, and it's only for subscribers.
Meghan praises herself constantly for being this great humanitarian, but when you really think about it, what has she done? I mean, even before she married Harry, she was part of World Vision, but dropped them as soon as she got engaged. And so it's like, if you really cared about the organization in the first place, why not continue working with them? But no, she just threw them to the side as soon as she could.
This isn't where the financial problem started. This is where they sped up. Because the real damage shows up when you look at Netflix. Everyone remembers the headline, Harry and Meghan sign a $100 million deal with Netflix. It sounded huge, like they walked away from the palace and instantly secured one of the biggest deals in streaming. Except that number wasn't quite what it seemed. Variety reported, citing insiders, that the actual deal was closer to $60 million, and even that wasn't all going straight to them. A chunk went toward Archewell production costs and staff salaries. So the headline sold the dream.
She touches turns to shit. And I think every sort of creative person behind her or deep pocket behind her knows it's an extraordinary risk. She's too toxic to touch.
But the reality was much more corporate and structured. And the output? That's where it really starts to fall apart. In 6 years under this deal, 0 scripted shows released. The animated series Pearl got canceled. Film projects like Meet Me at the Lake and The Wedding Date are stuck in development limbo. The only real hit, the Harry and Meghan docuseries, everything else quietly disappeared. Even the Polo series struggled hard, ranking way down at 3,436 on Netflix's watch list. That's not just underperforming, that's barely making a dent. That Polo series, it reached about 500,000 households on a platform with 280 million subscribers. That's barely a ripple. Meanwhile, with Love, Meghan landed at 1,124 on the rankings, pulling in around 2 million views. Not terrible, but nowhere near what a deal like this was supposed to deliver. Then the shift happened.
Last year, I had thought, you know what, American Riviera, that sounds like such a great name. It's my neighborhood, it's a nickname for Santa Barbara, but it limited me to things that were just manufactured and grown in this area. And I've been waiting for a moment to share a name that I had secured in 2022, and this is the moment. And it's called As Ever.
The Netflix deal officially expired in September 2025, and instead of renewing it big, Netflix downgraded it to a first look agreement. Same move they made with Barack Obama and Michelle Obama. That's not expansion, that's a step back. And it didn't stop there. In August 2025, Netflix pushed further by backing Meghan's lifestyle brand As Ever. But just 7 months later, on March 6, 2026, they walked away completely. Done. Now hold these two numbers in your head. $60 million in and 0 scripted shows out. That's the gap. And then things got even more awkward. Netflix CEO Ted Sarandos reportedly unfollowed Meghan's accounts.
That's the title of her show, Love Meghan. For what? To watch? Who wants to watch Meghan Markle bake a pie?
According to Variety, 2 separate sources claimed he wouldn't even get on a call without a lawyer present. Netflix pushed back, calling that inaccurate. But when asked if the relationship had been positive, they refused to answer. That silence says a lot. Inside the company, The mood was summed up in just 2 words. We're done. And here's what most people miss. This wasn't a one-off failure. It's part of a pattern. Spotify, Netflix, Archewell, same cycle every time. Big launch, huge expectations, under-delivery, then move on. 3 major deals, 3 similar outcomes, same exact playbook. Before, as ever, there was American Riviera Orchard. Remember that name? Meghan rolled it out with gold calligraphy, handwritten notes, and this whole luxury image built around one idea: artisanal Montecito lifestyle. Small batch, handcrafted, straight from her California garden to your kitchen. It sounded premium, almost too perfect. But here's where it started falling apart. The United States Patent and Trademark Office rejected the name twice. Why? Because geographic names like that can't be trademarked. And then it got worse. Harry and David stepped in and filed a formal protest, saying it was too close to their Royal Riviera brand. Just like that, the name was finished before a single product even shipped. So in February 2025, rebrand, as ever was born. But then came the detail that turned everything into a joke online. The actual supplier, the Republic of Tea, based in Novato, California, not some Montecito kitchen, not a private garden setup, a commercial production facility about 60 miles north of San Francisco.
This relaunch has now descended into a farce, it would seem, because officials in the Spanish town of Mallorca have accused the Duchess of Sussex of copying its traditional coat of arms for the logo of her newly rebranded
Well, it's pretty close, isn't
luxury.
That whole handcrafted at home image didn't really hold up. Even Meghan admitted it in a softer way, telling Fortune that the original name limited her to locally made products. Translation: the story didn't match reality. And here's the bigger issue. This pattern didn't start here. Look back at Spotify. A deal reported at $25 million. And what came out of it? 1 podcast, Archetypes, just 12 episodes, and then silence. The deal officially ended on June 15th, 2023, and then things got blunt. Spotify's podcast exec Bill Simmons went on his own show and called them grifters who dropped 1 series and disappeared.
Would not pay $15 for this crap. I feel like I'm gonna be sick. I actually feel like I'm eating printer paper.
$25 million, 1 product, and done. Sound familiar? Count it up. It's seriously, just count it. Spotify, $25 million. 1 podcast, Netflix, around $60 million. 0 scripted shows, $10 million in unsold products. Archewell, $2.1 million in, $5.1 million out, and a watchdog refusing to even rate it. American Riviera Orchard, rejected twice, forced rebrand, supply chain exposed, 4 major ventures, 4 breakdowns, and every single one launched with the same promise that the Sussex name alone would carry it.
I mean this sincerely, Prince Harry and Meghan, we don't give a America don't give a about you.
Now bring back that palace warning from the start, because this is where it hits harder. Before the 2018 wedding, a senior palace official, working under Samantha Cohen, reportedly gave Meghan a formal briefing. 14 staff members assigned to help her transition into royal life. Full support system ready to go. Even Lady Susan Hussey personally visited her at Nottingham Cottage to offer guidance. This wasn't casual. This was hands-on preparation. And according to reports, or it was all ignored, that same official allegedly warned Queen Elizabeth II directly, saying Meghan would bring serious trouble and likely wouldn't last in the royal family. Not vague, specific, and that warning, documented, then quietly buried. Now here's where it connects to something most people avoid talking about. Harry's own charity, Sentibal, the one he called his life's work, founded in 2006 to support young people affected by HIV. According to Bauer's book, it didn't just struggle, it collapsed internally. The new chair, Sophie Chandauka, commissioned a brand analysis across dozens of donors and organizations, and the result? Brutal. Harry's personal brand value had dropped hard, and the book claims Meghan's association actually made it worse. If you've been enjoying the content, make sure you're subscribed. I'm planning on doing a giveaway soon, and it's only for subscribers.
He, on the other hand, couldn't find an English woman who wanted to live with him, and they all fled because of his depressions and paranoia. And here is a woman, Meghan, who was his safety net and provided what he thought would be the mollycoddling and the love and security he was desperately looking for. And so it seemed at the beginning, but of course since then we've seen how she has completely exploited her position and become a global star at the expense of the royal family of Britain.
Sponsors started pulling out. Audi stepped away. A major Japanese donor reportedly canceled funding. wiping out around 23% of the charity's income overnight. And then came the line that cuts through everything. Chandaka reportedly told Harry directly, "People don't want to be linked to your Netflix projects, and especially not Meghan." Harry's response? He compared himself to Johnny Depp, arguing that Depp still remained a major box office draw despite his public controversies involving Amber Heard. Sophie Chandaka didn't sugarcoat it. She shut it down completely. "We need American corporates who support the mission, not you personally." That was the message. No fluff, no protection. According to the account, donors weren't interested in personal narratives. They wanted distance from the drama. Harry reportedly tried to remove her and failed. By March 2025, everything flipped. Sentebale lost key leadership, trustees stepped away, and Harry himself walked away from the charity he once called his life's work. That's not a minor shift, that's a full break. And then came the moment that poured fuel on everything. When Tom Bower released the details and excerpts hit the Times on March 15th, the response from the Sussex team didn't calm anything down, it made it louder. They called the book a deranged conspiracy, attacked Bower personally. But here's the key point. They didn't directly deny the specific claims.
Watch the Harry and Meghan Netflix documentary. Now, I'll be honest with you, before I watched it, I was not a fan of theirs. But now I've actually heard their side of the story, I fucking hate them.
And just like that, history repeated itself. By Monday morning, the book shot to #1 on Amazon based on pre-orders alone. Same pattern seen before with Spare and the Oprah interview backlash. Push back hard, and it amplifies everything. Now step back and look at the financial reality, because this is where pressure builds fast. Estimates suggest they need around $3 million a year just to maintain their current lifestyle. Their Montecito home, bought for $14.65 million in 2020, is now valued near $29 million. Sounds great on paper, but the costs don't stop. Property taxes alone? Over $155,000 annually. Private security? Between $2 and $3 million a year. Add staff, travel, maintenance. The burn rate is serious. And the income streams, that's where things tighten. Netflix, reduced. Spotify, gone. Archewell, running deficits. The lifestyle brand, rebranded after trademark issues. Speaking gigs and BetterUp still exist, but those aren't enough to sustain a full-scale operation long-term. And then there's the bigger shift, the one most people aren't paying attention to. In October 2025, King Charles III removed Prince Andrew from an official role using a royal mechanism that didn't require Parliament. That matters because it sets a precedent. Reports suggest Prince William may go even further early in his reign, potentially stripping HRH status and titles from non-working royals. Historian Andrew Lowney called Andrew's situation a warning shot aimed directly at Harry. And Bower's take? Simple. Harry reportedly fears William won't hold back. Because without the titles, without Duke and Duchess of Sussex, what exactly is left of the brand? Look, none of us were in those private rooms. We're all working off public records, reports, and claims. But when you line everything up, the pattern is hard to ignore. Someone inside the palace warned them. And piece by piece, it looks like that warning is playing out. They were warned and still ignored it. And since then, every single venture has followed the exact same cycle. Launch with the royal name, promise something big, underdeliver, blame the system, then jump to the next deal, again and again, 4 times now. Same pattern, same outcome, and somehow the same surprise every time it falls apart. Tom Bower says the marriage itself isn't over, but the financial pressure, that's a different story, because this isn't about one failed project anymore. The real question is simple. What happens when every major income stream is either shrinking or already gone? Titles under pressure, deals drying up, and the one thing they built everything on, the Sussex brand, losing value fast. And here's where it gets even more uncomfortable. According to Bower, what he saw at the Invictus Games raises serious questions. Just 43 paying spectators, around 100 people gathered mainly for photos, and one person at the center of almost every frame. That's not the scale people expected. And if that doesn't make you pause, it should, because this story isn't finished, not even close. If you want the real breakdowns without the fluff, make sure you're locked in and subscribed. There's a lot more coming.